Jim, we're in your relatively new home in the Wood Park area. You're known for being everywhere, and some people say at the opening of an envelope, but people very rarely see you here. I guess it's the place where you come to relax. So what does home mean to you?
It's exactly that. It's a place to relax, recharge the batteries after a long day or a long weekend. I don't spend a whole lot of time at home. It's primarily used just to sleep in. I don't cook here very often. I'm not a very good cook, but I'm often out at different functions, so I'm grabbing something on the run. But it's, home is, special to every person. It's a place you call your own. It's a place where you can relax. You can, walk around in, a pair of track pants and, running shoes, and you don't have to put on pretenses or airs for anyone. Right. And it's just an opportunity to let your hair down, watch some TV, read a book, and try to, as I said, in my line of work, it's sort of recharging the batteries after going 15, 16 hours in a full day.
Okay, what is your favorite room, nook in your home, and why? What's that place that's your sanctuary?
It's probably the den. I've got a very nice, comfortable green leather chair, and the TV remote control is right next door.
Yes.
The little stool, and it's a chance just for me to go and watch the news or watch a movie, just relax, read a book. It's probably the most comfortable place I find in the house.
Do you have a favorite TV show or a favorite movie?
Well, over the years, it's, I was a big fan of The West Wing, loved Desperate Housewives. It just ended this year. I watch that every Sunday.
Yes.
And The Simpsons I like. I like the news. I really like CBS Sunday Morning on Sunday mornings. I think it's a very well put together news magazine. Criminal Minds, CSI. The challenge I have is I don't get to watch TV that often, so I can't always keep track of sort of the plot lines, if there are plot lines in some of the sequences.
You can usually jump in after 6 months of not seeing Desperate Housewives, figure out what's going on. If your home could be anywhere else, where would you like it to be and why?
That's a good question. I really love Manotick. I love the area around Watson's Mill, no relation to me, unfortunately, and I think there's a lot of character in the main street. And of course the river is just spectacular.
Who are your heroes?
That's a good question.
And they don't have to be political or family, but people that you've just admired.
I had a chance to meet just very briefly for a couple of minutes Nelson Mandela when I worked at the House of Commons, and he gave a joint address to Parliament. And when you think of someone who's been in the public spotlight and who sacrificed so much for what he believed in, basically in jail for years and years and years to fight apartheid, that's someone that you admire. I had a good friend who passed away when he was young from a rollerblading accident, a guy named Carl Gillis, and he would have been one of the great leaders in government and in public service had he not passed away, and he's someone I admire.
Best moment for you in politics, and the worst? Something that really stands out in your mind.
There's a couple of things. I was very pleased to be able to implement the Smoke-Free Ontario Act. I was very proud of that. It was a piece of legislation in Ontario that was going to ban smoking in all indoor work areas.
Yes.
And I know when that passed, it was controversial and there were people that were upset.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I think even today people realize it's nice going into a restaurant that you don't have to breathe in someone else's smoke. And when I had the chance to meet Heather Crow, who was a waitress who died of exposure to secondhand smoke, having worked in the restaurant industry for 40 years. So that was a particularly proud moment in my political career. And I guess, the first time you're elected, when I was elected as a city councillor in Ottawa in 1991, that was really exciting, and I was sort of, this unknown person who was running against an incumbent, and just a ragtag group of friends that got together and we worked hard, and opened up our campaign office on Bank Street across from Kentucky Fried Chicken, and was out canvassing all the time. And
Yeah.
I just remember very clearly, the pride in my parents and sister when I came into the victory party at Abbotsford House, and that was a moment I cherish. The other side, I guess, was
Worst.
It's hard to tell because I'm just trying to think of, I suppose when I decided not to run for mayor when the cities were amalgamated, because I'd been in office for 9 years and I thought it was time to move. And I had a press conference at the old fire hall on Sunnyside, and my sister and niece were there, and they were teary-eyed, and I was teary-eyed. It was a big decision because I'd enjoyed the work, but I thought, you know what, it's time to move on. You can't do one thing forever, and 9 years was a good stint, and we accomplished a lot.
Right.
And I think that, in hindsight, was helpful to me because I went on to become president of the Canadian Tourism Commission and had that experience running a Crown Corporation. Then worked as an MPP and a cabinet minister, and I think it's made me a better mayor this go around because I just have a broader sense of experience and perspective on issues.
Okay, your favorite qualities in a man, and you said they're basically the same for a man and a woman.
I think the qualities, in a man and a woman are the same in terms of honesty and integrity. I think that's, one of the foundations of any relationship is that kind of trust that the person's honest and they have integrity as part of their DNA or their backbone.
Who has been the great love of your life, and when and where did you first meet?
I think it was when I was in Cub Camp, and
Okay, we're going back a ways.
it was the nurse.
Oh.
And they had this, and I can't even remember her name. She was this. I actually got poison ivy, and I had to go to see the nurse. And she was the nicest person because she was the first person that allowed me to call her by her first name. When you're that, it's always Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Jones. And I can't remember her name, but she was so sweet and pretty, and she was I just thought she was sort of cool that she could actually, I was like this kid in Cub Camp at 10 years old, and she was, I don't know, she probably would have been 35 or something, and
right.
allowed me to call her by her first name.
Okay.
And I think, it's the same with, I remember, you think of teachers that you really admired and liked, growing up, and they often have a profound impact on you. And I've had some great teachers, but the problem is I was in about 4 high schools in 5 years because my father was transferred a lot.
Right.
So you get to meet this really neat teacher, and it was all exciting, and then like a year and a half later you'd be transferred by
Sure.
So I can't remember their names.
But you remember what they did for you, right? Okay, and finally, Jim, how would you like to be remembered?
This will be one of these sort of videotapes.
It's gonna roll when you die.
When I die.
I probably won't be around then either. So.
Yeah, you know what I don't obviously often think about that. I just think that if I have an old expression that I stole from Lord Baden-Powell, who was the founder of the Scouting movement, and he once said, "Always leave the campsite in better shape than you found it." And I think that's it's a simple philosophy, but a pretty good one that, if you can leave your city in better shape, or if you can leave your community or your business or your association or, your family, I think that's a pretty good legacy for anyone, regardless of whether you're in politics. Try to do some good while you're here on the earth, and make sure that what you've done is improved so that it's inherited by the next generation and they can take up the torch and do even better.
Oh, it's a pretty good philosophy to live by.
Yeah, I think so.